Hello and welcome to another episode of Infamous. This is Brandon, or Mutilus on Discord.
This is Parker, go by One Who Parks on Discord.
And this is Aaron. I go by Treffinwood on Discord.
Welcome back to another riveting episode. Let's just start where we normally start. Announcements, as always, links in the show notes. There's not much news. Adepticon's coming up, but it's still a ways off. Got a few weeks. Couple weeks, I guess.
I have something like news.
Oh?
It's a follow-up to our last podcast.
Is it a link where people can buy Girl Scout cookies from you?
No.
Okay.
This is something that I thought everyone should know. This is good journalism is what this is. So I was listening to our last podcast because I had to hear my reaction to Aaron's colorful sandwich names, and I did not disappoint. However, even though it was fun to reminisce about just a week or so ago, my favorite part was trying to when I looked down at my phone and realized that Spotify was trying to guess what Aaron was saying. I don't know if you knew this, Aaron, but Spotify makes a transcript of all of our podcasts. And not only does it make a transcript of all of our podcasts just based upon voice recognition, but it actually takes these sections of the podcast and names them so that when people are scrolling back and forth, if they want to find something faster, it uses keywords based upon the number of times it appears in our conversation, and it actually makes a sectional for you to see. And I really want you to understand what Spotify thought we were talking about that day. So I made a collection of screenshots for you, and I just posted them in the podcast channel. And I feel like I need to just review them in order. So if you go to the first one, first off, the number of ways it spelt Donner, as in the Donner kebab, was hilarious. So first off, Donner, like Donner Party, like the people who ate other people. And then it went to donor, like people like donating an organ or donating.
Is that not how it's spelled?
I don't know how it's spelled, actually. I don't remember.
Okay.
And so I thought that was just kind of funny, just like, haha, it didn't know how to spell Donner, it's a Turkish word. But then the croque madame, it really started flying off the handle with quark madame, which was one of my favorites. So that whole section was called the quark madame, which I think is the best name for that sandwich. The quark, like the piece of an atom lady. And then, of course, it tried clock madame, which I thought was pretty good. And then we finally got to my favorite, which is the smørbrød. So, the smørbrød, it tried to name in so many different ways. The best part is it never attempted to use an English word. It just took syllables and smashed them together. It clearly was like, this guy's not speaking English, but it's not. So I can't there's not a smørb. My favorite was smørb. We didn't even put the second half of the word. It just tried smørb. Smørber. Oh, so that whole section, if you'd like to say, there's such thing as a smørberer, and that's what you eat. Is you eat smørberers.
I think I eat smørbs.
Smørberers. So anyway, I thought I'd just share that. That it was really fun watching Spotify try to figure out your favorite sandwiches.
Well, Parker and everyone listening, I would like to invite you to go to the Infamous Discord channel and then go to the Infamous content page where we post our weekly Mojo polls. I would like to invite you to vote for number 3 with me. I'm just saying, I think it's a great way to vote for this particular week. If you haven't seen it, you should go just to look at it. So, Parker, I recommend that you vote for number 3.
I'm voting for the correct one, number 4, and I never vote, but this is my stand.
God damn it. All right, I'm going to have to clear the votes now. I do want to say thank you, Aaron. Aaron brought us some donor kebabs, and they were pretty good. It was pretty enjoyable.
I am sad that I missed them. I would have preferred to have that over what I had, but
I will never understand why people put tomatoes on things. I just don't get it. I understand if you have fresh tomato from a farm or a garden, but the tomatoes you buy at a store or get fast food nowadays, there's I don't know, they seem like more of a negative than a positive to me, so I just take them off because they're always they taste more like red styrofoam than anything at this point.
Mm-hmm. And so you're saying this happened to you, or did you?
The kebab came with tomatoes, and so I took them off. All right, next up, currently playing. I am still playing my same old stuff. For Judgment, though, I have switched out Drelgoth for Thorgar, and I'm gonna see if that works for me. I'm not sure yet. What?
No, keep going.
Oh, okay. The theory craft here is that if I put Second Wind on Thorgar, it will be more valuable than if I put it on basically anyone else.
You are both correct and incorrect.
Oof.
Thorgar is my most favorite model in the game. So
I love Thorgar. The only reason I took him out of my list is because I feel obligated to play the Avatar, and so I always cut Thorgar for Zanja, which is not the same model by any means, but they both are like melee beaters. And since I'm already playing like faction loyalist Bruellen, I don't have a lot of non-melee beaters, and so I kind of needed diversity. And so he ended up getting cut for, I think it was Zafin at the time. And Jeremy recently pointed out a really nice, clever tech that because Drelgoth has the jump, he can jump and charge and still get through all the new Bruellen nerfs, which is pretty cute. Because it's not an advance, it's a jump. Like, yeah, that's clearly what they meant.
Yeah, Kenny introduced that to me because Yorgoth has the same thing. He also has leap. Yeah,
Parker's not happy.
I was, I was having not a great game, but for some reason that put me hard on tilt. As soon as
and then all you could see is red.
Well, it's because
dirtbag with a stick over
he
here.
Did it. Yeah, he did it, and I went, okay, well then I'm going to play my next like 2 turns, knowing that Yorgoth, will be really dangerous if I get close to him, and so I just won't get close to him. And he's like, no, this is close to him still too. Like jump, and I was like, oh no.
It's not a gotcha. It's I specifically took decisions. I made decisions to mitigate this, and you still gotcha'd me. You're like, okay, now you can just go suck a turd. What we normally call that in the business being Parkered. So I got 2 middle fingers for you.
Well, because that means that Yorgoth threatened 9 squares with 2 attacks, and if he's higher than level 1, then it's actually more because he could like do the cleave thing or momentum or whatever it's called.
Yep.
So yeah. But yeah, that was pretty cool. But I think I'm gonna drop him and try out Thorgar for a bit. Unfortunately, there's not enough time to really play test both before Adepticon. But I played a lot of Drelgoth, so I feel like I know what he does, and he's always good. But I want to get some Angry Cow in my list, so I'm gonna try him out.
I think it's really fun. I play him when I play Thorgar. I play him really strategically. I'm always like going, okay, do I use the full bull? Do I not use the full bull? The enraged mechanic, do I do it? Do I not? And I'm always like, you know what? No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it this time. And when I watch Aaron play him, he goes, all right, the first thing I do is I touch the model Thorgar. The second thing I do is I announce enrage. And it's just like, it's that flowchart is the only flowchart. It's just like, and I've never once not seen him just go, okay, he fully enrages, he rages. And I'm like, Aaron, you're just going to walk 3 times. You go, yes, he's walking 3 times fully enraged. That is what I'm doing. I'm like, all right, cool. Aaron only fully enrages, period, full stop.
He's tired of the defensive of his models being above 1.
That's the thing. Now here's the thing, Aaron. I actually have a question for you. After seeing you play this style so consistently, would you play a model that was melee 9, defense 1?
Only if they hit as hard as he does. Like,
sure,
the whole kit.
Crit for 6, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm just curious, if they took Enrage off of his card and said he was just melee 9, defense 1, and that's what he was, would you be like, yeah? Or is it that you get to, or that you have the option that makes you feel good about it? I'm just curious.
So I think you caught some very specific games, because I don't think I always enrage with Thorgar. In fact, I think to be good with Thorgar, you need to not enrage every single turn. So I don't want to say I wouldn't play a 9-1 model, but I would definitely cause me pause.
It's a huge nerf to say that you can never choose to not be enraged, obviously, but I don't think that'd be exclusionary. I don't think it'd mean he never makes a list. It would just be, you'd have to think really hard about putting him in the right spot.
Yeah.
Now, if he was like 1-1 and he had res, then yes, he's in my list.
I put res on him before. It was funky.
Mm-hmm.
Felt good. I worked with Josh and Chad, and we finished our team list, and I need to play some games of Krognar because I've never played them before.
You're on a team? That must be nice.
And that is what I did. Yeah, I'm going to. I've actually been excited to play Krognar for a long time. It's what our listener and my painter Jake, he is painting me a bunch of Krognar models before Adepticon. He's working hard, and I really appreciate it, Jake. If you're listening, thank you so much. And so I'm going
It's
to.
interesting that you say you appreciate it here, but off the cache you say you don't appreciate it. That's weird.
You did shit talk him a lot over breakfast, so
that's what I heard.
Why would you say these things? They're wholly untrue. I'm glad that Jake met me before he met you guys, because the trust has been established.
Those all sound like things someone trying to cover their ass would say.
Yeah, I know. I'm noticing a lot of back talk and like backtracking. Like it's like you're trying to cover your steps. I don't know.
At any rate, I learned how to play Krognar, and we're gonna see how this goes. I am really excited to try it though.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're gonna do a whole podcast on it, so you don't have to do a second podcast now, Aaron. But just give me a trash scale, an MCP style trash scale, so -10 to +10. Not on Jaeger the model, because I know you're playing him anyway, but on Jaeger the rules. What do you think of Jaeger?
We're gonna go with a 3 on Jaeger.
Okay.
Trash.
I think a lot of the community is correct that he's definitely not plug and play going to blow up the world. But holy shit, the ability to take a fade away from your opponent seems really good and highly undervalued at the moment. So I think replacing Alandir with Jaeger in my current rule list will be a downgrade, but I'm still going to do it for a week or two, see how it goes.
Yeah. One of the things I think it is interesting, exactly the same thought crossed my mind, which is, okay, do I have any non-range 6 ranged models in my list? Well, Jaeger could be better than those, and that's what I did. I really like that his design is not just overwriting other ranged models. I think they've done a really good job making sure that each model fills a niche. They keep finding them, and it's very impressive to me how many niches they find. When there's just not that many range values, there's not that many defense values or attack values that are legitimate, and they keep finding reasons to play one over another. It's very impressive.
I really wish his melee was a 1-2-4 instead of 1-2-3.
Oh shit, no! Wouldn't you do 5 damage on the charge? That'd be too much.
Yeah, really?
Because he's supposed to be like a light cav archer, not a.
Compare him to Barnascus, who's the exact same 6-7, but Barney has the 2-3-4 knockdown damage grid. This guy's got 2-3-4.
Well, I mean, also
just
Barney's
ranged.
not defense 5 and a soul harvester, right?
He's 3-1, which is approximately the same. And
as 5-0?
Yeah, to be honest.
Really?
3-1 with 5 more health. Maybe
I guess the health
more
pool
health
is relevant. Yeah.
I value res a lot.
I also value res a lot. It's just 2 points of defense is a lot of defense.
Mm-hmm. Bottom line, I think they're similar. Obviously, Jaeger's, the rest of his kit is why you would take him over other people, right? You take him for the other stuff he does. He's not a pure damage dealer. I get that. But I'd still, what I think, would have rather have been 1-2-4, which honestly, throughout the course of the game, is going to pop off, what, twice?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would have been minor and still given kind of a nod to, well, if you get the crit, your damage is quote unquote normal.
Yeah. I like that he is a close range, skirmisher. They did a good job, I think, nailing the close range skirmisher utility range model. I like it. I think it's going to be really interesting. I'm trying to decide if his level 2 is the worst in the game or one of the best in the game. I'm leaning towards one of the worst. That's one of the things that makes me sad about him. But then you don't have to level him up necessarily, unless you're trying to get to level 3. But
level 3 is baller, though, so... His
level 3 is fucking amazing. So I understand why they made level 2 not the best in the world, because you're not getting the most amazing utility out of level 2, I think. But
Now that we're talking, I'm revising it to a -3.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. Because so the synergy with level 2 specifically is people who are knocked down.
Mm-hmm.
Because it makes them unable to cleanse it. Otherwise, they could just leave the 2x radius and then cleanse.
Right.
I think I would have preferred it to say enemies who start their activation within 2x's cannot cleanse. That would have been spicy, potentially too spicy. I don't know, but so that's kind of a bummer, right? And the other bummer is Rotarius' active ability. AP and a Fate is just so fucking horrible for an effect that your opponent can by and large play around.
Mm-hmm.
So it all comes down to stealing Fate and being able to turn crits into J's, or interchangeability of combat maneuvers and hits.
There is one thing about him that I like, but what you just pointed out is it's playable around. But there's one combo that I came up with as soon as I read him, which is Jaeger and Grail, because Grail can give him potions to give his attacks fear, and so you could run up and fear someone, and then they can't cleanse it. So as long as you don't leave, you cannot use active abilities, and you cannot attack Jaeger. So that's an actual way to like stick fear. But then I was like, oh, cool. So I used 2 models, one, a bunch of actions to hope I get a 2S maneuver, and then that model gets to spend 1 action to move away or something. Like there's as soon as I thought of it, I was like, okay, that's cool. It's not nothing, but why? Like, why would I? Yeah, I did it. So then what? I guess we'll see.
I'm very much not a fan of the goblin/fish people as far as an aesthetic goes, so I haven't read any of their cards yet.
Yeah, should have heard Jeremy give Guns all the shit about him.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Did he complain a lot?
Yeah, it was like, basically, Guns, go fuck yourself. Why did you put these models in the game? I hate you.
Good job, Jeremy. I'm starting to think, fuck that guy, because he never shows up to the podcast, but I can respect his game.
I'm listening to I have not finished it yet, but I'm listening to the Josh podcast where you guys had him for Muse. And that's really exciting how many folks they have excited to play Judgment there in Des Moines. That is super cool. I love to hear more communities taking it on.
I think it's really telling of the gamer community at large, and by gamer community I mean like miniatures gamers, how willing they are to try a new game, as long as like not like specific people are willing to try them, but there's like the canary in the coal mine, right? If somebody moves into a new game and then like immediately quits it, or some people just refuse to play it, it's kind of like that's probably either not a good game or it's just not the right game for me. And so it's interesting, like regardless of where you are, there's like the active gamers in your community, like the pillars, the community organizers and stuff. It's like as soon as one of them starts playing a game on a regular basis, it's like there's a huge flood into that game, because it's basically what's the term here? It's like an endorsement of like, hey, this game is good, you guys should try it. And they see that like, oh, well, this person is consistent, they show up all the time, and they know what a good game is. And so as soon as that catches on, then there's a huge wave of interest. And that's how like Monpoc and MCP and everything got started as well in our area.
I'm just really excited to be able to play some people who don't know what the fuck is going to happen, so I can just rail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just really take advantage of new players.
No, I don't need new players. I just need ignorant players.
That's
guys like Aaron are just feeding me L's after L's all Friday long because
That's why I play Jeremy, dude. I haven't lost to Jeremy since like February. I think I've legitimately beat Jeremy in my last 9 Judgment games.
I said folks like Aaron because it wasn't just Aaron. Everybody fed me an L on Friday.
Yeah, I mean...
Are you implying that Jeremy and Aaron are different in some way? Why don't you just tell me what you mean on a recorded line so I can send it to Jeremy immediately after this podcast is over? Actually, hold on. I'll use my phone so I can send it during.
Pretty sure Parker was just gobbling up L's.
Yeah,
he was.
No.
He was feasting like a mantis.
I wanted him so bad.
He even came into the 4th game. He's like, if you beat me, I have to put all of these models away and never play them again. Gave me the biggest puppy dog look and said, let's go.
Yeah.
And then I
My
immediately
favorite-
put my foot on his throat, and I kept kicking until he stopped breathing.
My favorite was that not only did he take that L at the end of your boot, but he missed the first 2 hours of my D&D game to experience that.
Yeah.
That was great.
I was so desperate for a win that I was just like, no, I will get something positive out of this day. And that was it. I was just like, and that's all. I can't. I'm not. No more.
You should have gone to coin flipping after a while. Like we gotta do something to get out here in 5 minutes.
To be fair, as much as I didn't enjoy the widening of my asshole, I'm glad that it happened because I needed it to happen there and not at Adepticon, because nothing would make me more mad than bringing something I wasn't sure of to Adepticon and then just losing every game. Oh man, the thought of like spending all that money and going all that distance to lose a game that I wanted to win. Like if I was going there to play something like Blood Bowl and I was like, I don't care what happens, I'm just going to play games with friends, then it wouldn't bother me. But I don't want to let my team down, right? I don't want just to lose every game. That's not what I want to happen.
But Parker, how would you play Blood Bowl at Adepticon?
With a lot of booze.
Oh,
I would do it not sober. Or
I would be willing to contribute some of those booze. Okay, there we go.
Or
segue. When your partner picks up on a segue.
Or I would do it with these. Aaron, guess what I got? Look at this guy.
Oops.
This guy has a name. His name is Glottal Stop. And he is my favorite Blood Bowl miniature because of his name.
Sure.
But I have all the Lizard Mans. That was it. Brute Fun, is that the name of the modeler?
Yeah, Brute Fun.
Brute Fun minis. Brandon, in his magnanimity, got me all of the star players and regular team members of the Lizard Men. And so I have some really, really, really cool models that I will have to play with soon. And I heard the only way to play with them is in Blood Bowl, so that's the game I have to play in order to use them. I'm willing to do that.
You could probably play them in AOS. It'd just be really awkward.
But yeah, these models are so bitchin', and I'm excited.
I told him that the price is he has to play Blood Bowl. So,
yeah. Aaron, now I do need to know something. I realized afterwards, after I got them, and I was starting to look at them, and I'm going to figure out how to put some bases on them and stuff. What documents should I be reviewing if I wanted to play like a game of Blood Bowl against you or Kenny or Brandon? Like what format should I use that you guys are using right now so that we don't have to do a whole lot of work? Like I will come to you and play
what's
your
like
format.
A standard tournament packet, I think is what he's asking.
Yeah.
That'll need to be coordinated every time we play. Unless we develop like a standard.
I do wish there was like an industry standard where it's like, hey, this is like what standard is, and then every tournament is a modification of that.
Sure, I would say either 1120 or 1150 is the standard.
Mm-hmm.
What does that?
Hundreds.
That's how much gold you get. Team value.
1,120,000.
Yeah, so it'd be 1,100,000 and 20 or 50 or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's also some other rules that go in there, right?
Yeah, and then there's tier bonuses as well. So like a tier 5 team will get it's 8 skills or something.
Yep. If you're gonna play,
there's also rules for like star players and things like that, right? There's a bunch.
They just cost money.
They cost part of your
stuff. Yeah. Like some of the inducements you can get, like I can give up like 3 skills on my team to buy a star player, and you can just include them in your team. I think we lost Aaron.
No, maybe we did.
But yeah, there's a lot of different stuff like that you can do. I remember when I was building a team we just did the Euro Bowl rules last year because they were pretty fun, and they're pretty standard. They did a couple cool things beyond the normal. It wasn't anything too crazy, but yeah, like he said, like that's part of the fun of the game is that it changes every time you go to an event. Is so you're always playing with different teams and different combinations.
Right, like that is interesting to me, but I didn't know, is there a repository of these things somewhere? Like, is there a place where you can go on the internet to be like, here's all the current formats, or do you have to go to the tournament and be like, click on my PDF that I made?
I will give you a website to go to. It's THENAF.net.
This is not going to give me like some terrible porn, is it?
Yes.
Define terrible.
Live nude gnomes.
THENAF.
The NAF. It's the NAF. NAF is like the National Organization of Blood Bowl.
Nuffle Immortal Football League.
Yeah.
Okay. It wasn't like Cup Girls or anything. That's good to know.
Mm-mm. The homepage looks very normal. Just click on any of the links.
Go to members area in the top right.
Members area.
And then that'll bring you to another page where it has a embedded link to the members area in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Click that.
I'm there.
Then in the top right, now you'll have a bunch of buttons. One says tourney or tourneys with two heads next to it.
There it is, yeah.
Click on that, and that'll take you to a link to every tournament that has been recently played in the world and every upcoming tournament that's been approved by this organization for Blood Bowl. And each of those will have their own rules packets you can look through.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
You can filter it by nation, like if you just wanted to see stuff in the U.S.
Yeah,
and get an idea.
There's plenty of different ones, but there's a pretty standard like layout to them. You should actually just ask Ryan for his last year, the tournament he ran, and build a team for that.
I sense sarcasm.
You remember those like triple Warcaster games we used to play a War Machine? By used to play, I meant like tried once and hated.
Mm-hmm.
It was that. That's what he tried to run in Blood Bowl.
Gross.
Oh, not tried to run. Did run.
He did run.
So what would you suggest as like a? Oh man, I don't know where to start. Like you said, you're playing a game with Kenny on Friday, right?
Uh-huh.
What are you using? What format are you using?
So we are practicing a new format called Sevens that we've never played before. The only reason we're doing this is because we're playing this in Adepticon instead of Judgment 3s. So otherwise, we would probably be playing the tournament packet for my upcoming tournament in April. Is probably what we would test. Whether we're practicing the teams we plan on taking, then it's just kind of the next thing up. So why not give it a whirl?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So is that packet on here somewhere? Like, how would I find that?
Let's worry about specific team building stuff later.
Sure.
Off the cast, but yes. That's the area you would find different tournament formats.
Yeah, this is
then,
super good
you
content.
would decide on one
Searching
with your...
through shit.
Yeah, exactly. Parker's just scrolling internet like, what is this about? I'm like, oh my god.
Hey, listeners. Wouldn't you like to know what I'm looking at on my screen?
So speaking of new models, hobby projects. I have started painting my Judgment models for Adepticon. Nothing too exciting there, but I started with my all-star Kogan, who's clearly the best model in the entire game.
Can be, yeah.
My last game against Jeremy, he one-rounded his 21 health Yorgoth. It's pretty great.
Yeah, that'll happen every game.
He was not very happy. He even had bracers and he canceled one of the maneuvers. He's like, how am I still dead?
I finished painting my Jaeger, and I am now fully complete for all of the models that I own for MCP and Judgment.
Very nice.
We call that hobby complete.
Nice.
So I finished watching The Boys. Season 4 was really, really bad. And then I started Agatha all along, and really don't like that. So,
how far did you get into it?
I am through episodes 4.
What aspects of the show do you dislike?
Agatha or The Boys?
Agatha.
I think just the campy, kitschy. It feels like a fucking CW show. Okay.
I think that kind of goes away after the first 6 or so episodes, and it becomes a lot
only
more
10.
So it's a lot like the WandaVision show. If you're not there for like the campy weirdness, then that's kind of like the whole point of the show. But this one, I would say, much like WandaVision, towards the end of the show, the plot has revealed itself, and now it's just the plot, and then all that other stuff kind of falls away.
I really liked WandaVision.
Yeah.
So I'm not opposed to campiness, depending on how it's, why it's portrayed. Like, I really was fine with, like, the first episode when she was the detective, because she really wasn't herself, right?
Yeah.
So that makes sense. But now this is, like, who she really is, and she's still just horribly unlikable. Like, I don't even know why I'm watching you anymore.
Yeah, she's a pretty unlikable character and I don't know if you realize how unlikable she is yet, but she's a bad guy, so
Probably
she's supposed
not.
to be unlikable. Yeah. So I
Sure,
enjoyed the show.
but like I
But
don't
yeah,
want
you
my
have
bad
to-
guys like Jafar, right? I want my bad guys like people that I want to hate, not just bumbling idiots.
Okay. I will say there's a lot of the show that is like obfuscated, and you don't really know what's going on until the later episodes, and you realize in retrospective that things that were happening are way more important than you thought they were.
I'm going to
but
finish
yes.
it, so we'll see.
Well, if you're gonna finish it, we'll see if you like it. It is worse than WandaVision. There's no question.
Okay.
I enjoyed it though, so I don't know. And I definitely felt there was kind of a lull in the beginning where I was kind of like, okay, is this going to get to something important eventually? It wasn't amazing or anything. It was fine.
Sure.
Parker, any hobby projects?
I gotta find something to put on the bottom of these models. I gotta figure out somebody who's gonna paint them or be cool with them never getting painted.
You better fucking paint them. They're not even that hard. They're like 3 fucking colors.
That's not the problem.
Mm-hmm.
I
Blood-
don't. Go ahead.
I was gonna say Blood Bowl is the one minis gaming that, for the most part, requires painting at every event.
It's a GW game, so a lot of people are pretty painting encouraged, and then also it's like 11 models, so like, come on.
I don't know that you would get turned away, but most tournaments put painting required. So get on it.
As far as the Lizardmen specifically, like, you just spray paint them blue, and then you like airbrush the underside bellies like a light gray, and then you paint like the gold and the fine bits, and you're pretty much done.
Or you could be like me and you could go with albino lizardmen because they're living in caves
Gross.
and do various shades of gray to light gray on the skin. It actually pops really well because of the crevices inside their scales. I don't know exactly how your models are sculpted, but I really like how mine turned out.
I might look at something besides this tradition, like the standard blue, but I love the standard like turquoise of the Lizardmen.
Yeah. I did a
it.
Skaven team for a guy, and we used the original pewter GW minis. And so I painted them like little like lab mice, and so they're all like albino white with pink noses, and they were very cute. And it was like black and red armor, and so they were very evil looking lab rats. It was very funny.
I am very, in every game I think I've ever played, I am a purist. Like, I really don't appreciate most alternate paint schemes. Every once in a while, however, I see somebody who did it and I went, oh shit, I made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
That one is better. If I had thought about it for 4 seconds as opposed to just going with the default, I would have been so much happier. And one of those people is actually, I think, is it Nigel's X-Force? Is that right? Is he the one who painted all his X-Force in like the black and gray X-Force from the X-Force solo series? Was that Nigel who did that? I want to say it was Nigel. Maybe I'm wrong.
Might be. I know he plays X-Force more than most people.
Yeah. And I just love... If it isn't Nigel, I'm sorry, listener. If you know who it is, message me and say, like, it was me, but I think it was Nigel. At any rate.
Yep. Yeah, Parker will definitely give you credit next week.
I will.
For the audience, I'm shaking my head.
I am... So every once in a while that happens. So I will probably look around at some Lizardmen alternate paints. I'm sure there's oodles of them out there, and see if there's anyone that I would like more. But I love the turquoise, because the turquoise pops with all their Aztec stuff. White is very similar.
I think the Lizardmen aesthetic is one of the aesthetics that GW did extremely well, considering, because not only were they're kind of a unique like concept of an army. There's Lizardmen or Dragonborn or Dragonkin. All these like reptilian type humanoids have been done a bunch of times, but them adding the Aztec theme to it, doing the nice teal blue across the whole army, it really came together. Just like Skaven. Skaven's, even though Nezumi and Ratmen have been done before, the way they did Skaven was truly unique and done really well, and it really clicked. And so, like, unless you really need to fuck with it for some reason, I think those are two of the aesthetics you should kind of leave alone. Like, they did a really good job with them. Now, for like Empire, you're like, they're regular fucking humans. Who cares?
So if I brought these Lizardmen over to your house, you showed me the one model you're painting. Are you like actively painting again?
I will be painting for the next few weeks till my stuff's done.
Okay. I might just come over, and if you would let me borrow shit and paint with you, that would be fun.
Okay. Well, first you need bases.
Yeah, I need bases first. I think there's got to be some bases like in my stuff, right? Like, is there a standard size for
Probably. Yeah,
Blood
it's
Bowl
32
bases?
mil. Of all games, Blood Bowl's the one that's okay if they're on the wrong size bases, but I would recommend at least using close.
Right. I wasn't going to get like big
Yeah.
ass bases, but
You should use square bases. That way they take up a whole square on the board.
I have square bases. I have hexagonal bases. I have
You should get some triangle bases. Just fill out the set.
my treatment are on a large piece of bark that is the base.
Mm-hmm.
So don't matter.
So Parker, I don't know how you feel about this, but I was thinking we could share what happened in our D&D game this week. I don't know how you feel about that. If you
What do
don't
you
want
mean?
to, we don't have to.
What do you
Just
mean?
in general, I think doing a D&D update would be fun for the show, because I think hearing about D&D games is always somewhat interesting as long as it doesn't get lost in the details.
Yeah, sure. That'd be fine.
Because I've decided that we cannot release the audio recordings of our sessions. I think that would be not okay.
No.
Drunk people making off-color jokes can only
Yeah.
be so fun for sober people.
Yeah, every once in a while we step on a landmine. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah. Well, it's all in good fun. So this week, you guys came across a random village whose mayor's daughter had been kidnapped by kobolds. And so you guys decided to go get her back.
Speaking of lizardmen.
Speaking of lizardmen. So you guys just went and killed some kobolds and brought her back, right?
Oh yeah, that's all that happened. It wasn't hard at
That's
all.
all that happened.
So
You guys did all your research to make sure that you weren't walking into a trap?
my favorite part of this adventure, I guess the encounter really is what you should say, is that when you think of the word kobold warren, like a village of kobolds.
A village of kobolds.
Yeah. Aaron,
How many people are in a village?
Aaron, what does that call to mind to you? Like, how many kobolds are in a warren?
Yeah.
Do you think?
If you were to attack a settlement of lizard folk, how many people is that?
Yeah. And
So are we in huts or are we in buildings?
They had mostly like
they're in a
teepees
cave.
and lean-tos
Okay,
and stuff.
52.
But they also,
The answer is 52.
that's
52.
surprisingly close.
Wow, I was really so. I was thinking this is a village of lizard people. You know,
Mhm. That's like 5.
limited resources, living in a cave. Also, we're an adventuring party, like going to attack them ostensibly. So there's going to be a big baddie, probably a sorcerer, and maybe.
Oh, so you predicted sorcerer.
Yeah, because I knew they were
Okay.
kobolds are like magically inclined
Natural,
sorcerers.
magical. Okay.
And so I was like, I'm expecting like a big baddie sorcerer. I'm expecting maybe one big fat barbarian type kobold, right? He's like a big mean bodyguard type, and then a bunch of bullshit. And what I mean by a bunch of bullshit, I mean a dozen, maybe.
That's a lot of kobolds.
that would be a lot of kobolds. Okay, so
I do want to give a shout out to Connor, because Connor was like, well, kobolds are smart, like not like goblins, they're actually intelligent, so they could like set traps and stuff. I was like, they are known for making traps. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And so you guys,
we walked into their village, and which is a cave, and we were instantly pelted by rocks. And you would think like, okay, like rocks, like from slings, like yeah, little rocks from slings.
Yeah,
and you'd
slings.
think there'd been like, you'd think there'd be like, 10, 12 dice rolled, and then Brandon starts rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling.
To be fair,
rolling.
The first volley was 12.
Yeah. And
they had set up a layered defense where their sentries would fire at you guys to determine who the soft targets were, and then once they had determined who the soft targets were, they let loose the volley. And then you guys like run into the room and 40 sling bullets come at you, and you're like, hold on.
Now the thing is, I'm playing like a functionally a golem, right? I'm like an animated golem, and so they're just bouncing off of me, literally doing nothing. But everybody else is just getting shredded by thousands of stones just flying at them. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm just going to be able to walk through and save the girl because the girl's back there, right? And so the wizard was like, yeah, I'll help you. I'll cast a spell to make you faster so you can go in there. And then the second layer of defense activated, and the kobolds had wizards. And
the sorcerer team went.
And what I mean by wizards, they had sorcerers, and they were like a hyper sniper team where they were all using like beams of fire, and they would basically just, as soon as you looked like you were going to do something more dangerous than walk forward and slash stuff, they would just shoot at you, and they were unerringly accurate. And so they just started
Well, it
toasting
turns out
people.
like bolts of fire are pretty accurate.
Yeah. And so that's how it went. I ran forward, and everyone else just traded healing each other with potions and wands and spells until eventually we found the big bad sorcerer. He actually got killed in the back by the girl. The girl managed to escape while we were occupying him.
The
and all that
kidnapped girl
happens.
ended up killing Lord Croc.
Yeah. But it took us so long. By the way, so the whole time this is happening, our party is just bleeding profusely. Just
Life support.
gobs and gobs of hit points are just falling on the floor everywhere, except mine, because again, they're throwing stones at me and it's doing literally no damage.
No, yeah, the best they could possibly do to you is 1 damage because you have DR2,
Right?
Because you've got like adamantine armor.
Yeah.
And so you're just wading through like hailstones, just like this doesn't matter. Like,
And so finally,
until
the sorcerers realize that I'm back with them. They all turn to me after I've killed one. And they all
you get to
turn
like
to
the
me,
second level of the cave, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Hold on, what's this guy doing?"
and they all zap me at once. And I have a huge health pool. That's my character. He's just health with legs. And so I take it was like 70 damage instantly.
Mhm.
Now I have
Yeah.
73.
Yeah.
So I'm fine.
You went from full to 3 hit points real fast.
And so, and that was it. That was the end of combat. By the time they did that, they couldn't stop the bleeding, and we eventually.
Well, Connor
eventually won,
teleported you back to save you because you
Yeah.
were about to get incinerated.
Yeah. But at that point, they had taken too much attrition. We had actually managed to kill kobolds. And here's the thing, and this is actually the thing I'll say about this game, D&D in general. It's one of the things I really like about the game, actually. But I now realize something really important about the game. That party construction is actually really important. And
we've been playing this game for over a year. I'm glad you figured that out.
Well, no, what I mean is it's more than just because before.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to matter when you're just fighting wolves. Like,
right?
Who cares,
Right.
right?
It's so when you're fighting, what's the best way to put this? Yes, oftentimes people will say, "Well, we need a healer, and everything else is just kind of whatever."
Mm-hmm.
And I think now that I've played it a bit, I've realized what you actually need. You actually need kind of specialists in different actual forms of melee combat, right? Or the idea is it's really useful to have somebody that can restrain people and not kill them. It's really useful to have someone It's really useful to have somebody who can do multiple attacks, and even though they don't do a lot of damage. So it would have been much better in this situation because we would have taken down kobolds so much faster because they literally fell down to stiff breezes. But it didn't matter when my giant knight has to spend their entire action swinging a sword. You're just So yeah, I split every single one in twain 5 times over.
I mean, obviously, yeah, being able to kill
is
multiple
terrible.
people is a high premium, but at your guys' level, that's not a real easy thing to come by. Even if you had a dual wielder that had 5 attacks around, which is basically the top of the game that you could possibly have. Well, first off, those attacks would not all hit, and why would there be 5 guys in melee with that dude? They have ranged weapons. That wouldn't make any sense.
But there is...
And so in this particular combat, I'm just saying that they weren't flooding around you like stupid goblins might, right? Where they just charge in with knives and try and kill you. It was because they weren't just giving their lives away. They were trying to stay alive.
Sure.
And because they were a little bit smarter than average.
But I mean,
horde villains.
Okay, so if it's not a melee character with multiple attacks, there are characters like the dervish that can actually walk and attack multiple times, right? There are things like that allow you to be a lot more efficient with your turns. Some sort of effect called chain lightning. I don't know if it exists, but something like that. There are kinds of things. And the person
that's supposed to be doing that in the game, the first spell he cast, all of the sorcerers were waiting to shoot him. Right. And so by him trying to cast Fireball, he almost died and realized that there was a shooting gallery waiting for him to do that. And so basically the enemy was using advanced tactics, and that was the first time you really saw an enemy using advanced tactics.
Right.
And so I think you're absolutely right that the party needs to be very specialized. But I think the thing that you guys were lacking on was party tactics. Is you guys are all kind of just being solo artists as opposed to working together as a team. And as soon as you started working together as a team, and it's Connor's going to put up a fog bank so other people aren't getting sniped, and now they can start contributing without dying. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of stuff was actually helping each other.
Right.
And so that's what I would like to see you guys do a little bit more of, because a lot of the time it just kind of turns into everyone try and kill somebody, and that works fine when you're fighting dumb enemies.
Well, I think here's the other bit. This is something I've noticed particularly is that now this is just again part of party design is uh we have a lot of utility characters, but we actually don't have somebody that just kills things dead. Like we don't have that, and so since we don't have like an Apex DPS kind of option, not an Apex or just like a high grade DPS kind of option, everything we do is a war of attrition. Like we're just burning. I feel like we all end our every fight at 10 hit points, and maybe that's what's supposed to happen. Maybe that's be a balanced D&D, and a DPS character wouldn't help that. But we don't. I don't feel like we have a DPS character. A character that's really good at putting out lots of big damage numbers. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, in D&D, you can't really just buy damage. Like damage goes up at a very linear rate, and so. That's you can't just go, I want to do double the damage of that guy, but that's not a thing. Like damage is at such a premium in this game that the only way to really increase it is with melee damage, and melee damage does scale, but it's at the cost of other things.
Okay. At any rate, I felt like that fight was really fun because it was very different. I enjoyed it. It was cinematic too. Like it made us think. It was a combat puzzle rather than just a combat, which was cool. I appreciate that kind of stuff.
Cool.
My favorite part of D&D or any game like this is puzzle type stuff, rather than like miniature combat, which is what Judgment feels great about for. Let's do miniature combat. Well, I would rather play a different game for miniature combat. If I'm playing D&D, I want to solve puzzles. That sounds interesting to me.
Cool. Yeah, I think it was a good session. I think everyone liked it. All right. Well, let's move on to the next segment, which is going to be Mojo World. This week on Mojo World, we're going to do Leonardo DiCaprio movies. We're going to start with Aaron's going to go first this week, followed by Parker, and then myself. All right, Aaron, what's your first pick for Leo?
The Wolf of Wall Street.
Alrighty. Good pick. That was on my list.
This is one of those movies I should have seen, and I just haven't yet in my life. One day I will.
Never saw it. I mean, it's definitely skippable. It's just like debauchery and insanity, basically, but it's a very fun movie just based on the crazy dialogue and scenes that happen.
There are so many iconic scenes in the movie. I've seen all of those. Like, that's just because the internet refuses to not let me see them. But so I need to see them.
Like, I know the him driving home scene is very iconic, but also it's like the way they shoot it is so perfect. Mm-hmm. All right. Next up is Parker.
I'm going to go with my favorite Leo movie, Inception. Love Inception.
You son of a bitch. Yeah, I think Inception's one of those movies where you watch it and it's just so gripping the whole time that it's hard to even realize that you spent 3 hours watching a movie.
Yep. So that's the right word. It is an incredibly gripping movie.
Yeah.
It's fascinating from moment one.
Yeah, exactly. And even though it's like pseudoscience and like well outside the realm of like realism, and there's so many like you must disbelieve these scenes, but it's just so well done from a cinematography standpoint. Okay, my next picks then, rounding out the first round, I'm gonna go with Django Unchained. Again, hugely quotable movie, but it's just it's one of those. Any Tarantino movie, like the dialogue is so great because he can make two guys sitting on a hill not doing anything very engaging, just because like his dialogue is so good. But also it's a fun movie. After that, I have to go with one of my all-time favorites, Catch Me If You Can. I picked this before. It's a fucking great movie. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. I would say a lot like Inception. It's just gripping. Like even though like what's going on in the story isn't particularly important, it's just like some guy being a dickhead half the movie, but it's just so engaging. All right, Parker, you're up.
I'm gonna go with. You took two of my really really top choices, but I'm gonna go with.
I mean, we all have the same top choices. Yeah. It's Leo.
No, right? I really loved this movie when I saw it. It left a big impact on me. I think it's incredibly dramatic. It's Blood Diamond. I love Blood Diamond. It's not a fun watch. It's not to like. It's not like
watch.
Yeah, it's not like I'm going to chill with popcorn.
I have not seen this one.
It's really, really good.
All right, Aaron, can you take it home? You got two more?
I've got the only two movies I've seen of Leo that are left on this list. Yeah, the order doesn't matter at all. It's Titanic and The Quick and the Dead.
I had already typed those out. Good job, Aaron. Quick and the Dead. I think a lot of people forget Leo's in that. But yeah.
I want you to know, Aaron, I was being very, very kind. I was like, I'm not going to take one of Aaron's because I know.
You were going to take Quick and the Dead?
It is on my list, but I would never take that because I love Blood Diamond, and why would I take it? Because I know he hasn't seen Blood Diamond. So
this is perfect because I have exactly 2 movies left on my list, and I'd much rather pick one of them than the other. I don't think you're going to pick the one I want. So,
okay,
Parker, you're up.
I'm going to take Gangs of New York.
Ooh, that's another one I think people forget he's in.
Yeah, he is. The problem is Daniel Day-Lewis robs that movie completely, so it's hard to remember he's in the movie when Daniel Day-Lewis starts talking.
Yeah,
but
I think that's another one that people will be surprised I haven't seen. But a friend of mine, or my cousin, was really, really loved that movie. I just never got around to watching it, and then But isn't that another one where there's a ton of people in it?
Oh yeah, Liam Neeson's in it.
Yeah,
it's got a whole cast. It's a star-studded cast for sure.
Yeah. Wow, we're gonna miss one of the ones I think everybody would have put on this list. I'm gonna go with Shutter Island.
That's my last one.
It's a twist movie that's done really well. It's a lot of intrigue and a lot of fun moments.
That movie automatically got a 9 out of 10 from me because I almost never totally miss a twist. Even if I don't know what the twist is going to be,
there is a twist coming.
They're setting up a twist. Sure, I'm going to find it eventually. That movie was one of the few movies I remember seeing that I was like, did not see that twist.
They just straight trapdoored you, and you're like, oh shit.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's the perfect example of what a good twist movie is.
Yeah. And the reason why it worked was because they set up a totally separate suspenseful mystery, right? They set up a really good mystery, and then double cross you at the end. I liked it. It was good.
Yeah. The only other movie on my list was The Departed. It's not my kind of movie. It's good. I did enjoy it, but I would not have put it in my top 3. I would have much rather had a couple of the movies you guys named. So
a lot of people are going to be mad that we didn't say it. I haven't seen that movie.
I expect that's the case. I didn't see it for a really long time. I saw it way after it came out. So, but yeah, I would have put Wolf of Wall Street in my top 3 over probably Shutter Island, and then Quick and the Dead probably would have just gotten beaten out by Shutter Island. But Inception would have been in my top 3 as well. So
I have seen Quick and the Dead recently as an adult. It does not hold up.
Really?
I remember as a kid being so enamored by that movie and just loving it, and it's because it is a very immature movie. Honestly, it's just the themes are
super poppy and cheesy compared to other westerns, so it's a lot easier for non-western people to absorb.
Absolutely. I will say this: Russell Crowe's character is awesome.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman's character is not.
And so many other characters are caricatures, not characters.
Oh, yeah.
So it's hard to believe that they're people. The one dude's doing his mustache while they're about to fight. I'm like, come on, man. You're literally about to die. It's if you were a fake gunman, you would be terrified right now.
It is a series of stereotypes.
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. All right, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this week of Mojoverse, and hopefully you enjoyed this week's podcast. This has been Brandon.
And Parker.
And Aaron.
And you've just listened to There Was Space on the Door.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.